Hi, everybody, and Merry Christmas. Or Happy
I
Advent.
love the hat. Merry Christmas.
Well, the listeners, right as we got started, I just got a text from Anne Caballero from France, who's starting the C.S. Lewis Society in France, and who, of course, I met in Romania, and that's where we got a picture together with some Pints with Jack swag. And she just now sent me a message on Facebook. She said, "Here's my Christmas present to myself." And there it is. There in France is a Pints with Jack mug.
Wow!
So, sorry about the lousy
Did we
quality.
make those?
No,
That's
I'm not
great.
sure.
This is bootleg merch.
I love it.
The bootleg merch. We'll take it. Maybe she got it on Redbubble or somewhere. So,
Someone should send us their best bootleg merch. We should start encouraging this, and then we can get ideas to like turn it from bootleg to real.
That's great. I'm gonna text her back.
Well, this real merch
That
will
is
be
so
available
cool.
soon.
What I really love about this, because I've received some of these before from other organizations, the darkness of the wood is beautiful on this one. Some of the other ones are lighter woods.
Yeah, so I went for slightly darker wood than the lesser known Lewis.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
this was if
I
Lesser
like
Known Lewis
that.
is watching this, I've never seen yours before. This wasn't meant to be a dig, but I like the dark. I like the
No,
dark.
in fact,
one.
it was meant to be appeal. Send us each one, please, or two. Whenever I give out the Pints with Jack coasters, the paper ones, the cardboard ones, I always give out two because it's always nice to have a drink with a friend.
Lovely. Well, today, given the season, I figured we would be talking about Christmas. And since Matt and I have done quite a few Christmas episodes before, and we've spoken about our Christmas traditions, I thought Andrew could tell us a little bit more about some of his favorite traditions. And I also thought we might share some of our favorite music, because just before we started recording, because we just finished recording a proper episode, Andrew shared some of his favorite songs for the season. I thought that might be something we could talk about as well. Oh, Matt hates this idea. He's running away. Okay.
No, he's just brightening it all up. Well, it looks like my light is flickering, but it is not. So let me just pull this down.
That didn't do anything.
There we go.
From an
light's still
Airbnb in
flickering.
Washington, D.C. right now, so
There we go.
we're making it work, guys.
Well, and I've got my Blessed Virgin icons there. My nativity icon is at work. I just used it for morning prayer this week. It's got my favorite feature of a nativity icon: a grumpy Joseph, or Joseph's off at the side and not having a good day. So, yeah.
Well, you would probably be in the doghouse as well if you traveled to a new town and you didn't have a place for your wife to stay. And if she was pregnant, whew.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was God's design. So, Christmas traditions, gosh, for us, we put up the Christmas tree. Go ahead.
I've got to say this. This is too bad. This isn't like in the regular episode where we can cut this and make it look like my witty mind thought of this right afterwards. But I saw this meme that was making a joke of Mary and Joseph got to the cave or whatever and found out that they could stay there for free, but they have a $3,000 cleaning fee. And it was a joke about Airbnb's cleaning fees.
Oh, wow.
Because those have become so huge.
Hits a little
Yeah,
close to home. these
small
days,
rant.
doesn't it?
I remember the days when Airbnb used to be good.
Yes.
I would even be going on work trips, and I would tell them, "I'll take care of the hotel," and I would get an Airbnb. It was always much nicer, much more varied, much more homely, and usually a good deal cheaper. Now it's insane.
Uh-huh. I agree.
We haven't used it in a while, so I wouldn't know. But no room at the inn. There's certainly room at our inn. These days I go to my wife's family in Sarasota. Her brother and sister-in-law and their family have a spare room for us that we have stayed at for many years. A spare room, yes. And you've seen me record from there many times. But growing up, not a religious family, we would put up the tree kind of mid-December sometime. They would put on Christmas music. I remember the Julie Andrew Christmas album where she had kind of a straight cut with chestnut brown hair. And Mom would make this dip that I thought was so elaborate. And so I make it every Christmas too. It's a tub of sour cream and a packet of onion soup mix, and you mix it up together and that's it. and then another tub of sour cream, and then a slightly drained can of clams. And so I still make those, and they're still a hit. We were never going to church on Christmas, and we were not allowed. We didn't do any presents on Christmas Eve, and we were not allowed to dig into our presents Christmas morning. But what we could do on Christmas morning is go and get our stockings. And so we could take them back to bed with us and open whatever was in there. Of course, my mom, quite strategically, we never had all that much money, put loads of fruit. There were the big oranges and the big apples taking up space in the stocking. And Brazil nuts. Has anybody really ever eaten and enjoyed a Brazil nut, for the love of God?
If you go to Brazil, they just call them nuts.
Yeah. And there's so many there. There's a Brazilian.
Oh, wow. So I used to teach at a high school run by the Brazilian fathers. And I would say, guess how many fathers I have? I have a bazillion. For those of you, for non-Catholics, that's an order that's a priestly order in the Catholic Church. So little trinkets and toys and some candy in the stocking. We could not dig into the candy until after breakfast, and then we couldn't open the presents till everybody was there. And of course, we had to have a notepad so that we could write thank you notes.
Oh, yes.
And, those were always laborious. So that was pretty much our Christmas. How about you guys? What haven't you covered here before on a Christmas episode?
I don't know. I mean, since we covered our Christmas traditions, I've got married, had kids, and moved to Wisconsin. So I suppose things are reforming. I mentioned on the podcast with Ruth Jackson, since we haven't been Marie and I haven't been a family for too long. We don't so much have traditions, just nasty habits at this point. But yeah, no, our Christmas is usually pretty straightforward, and we try and create a little bit more space on Christmas Day, because Marie's family has a big get together on Christmas Eve, and so there's everybody, and that's a lot of people. And children are now outnumbering the adults quite significantly because we're a fecund bunch. But on Christmas Day, we go to morning mass. We would go to midnight mass, but you don't do that with toddlers, not unless you want a bad time. So we go in the morning, and then we have a mostly quiet day with just our immediate family. And of course, this year, my mum is here in Wisconsin, so she'll be with us as well.
Lovely.
And then we'll have, I'm sure we'll have dinner actually on Christmas night together. But
Christmas crackers?
I haven't found any locally. We have a really good store that has a lot of international goods. So I can get Jaffa cakes and digestive biscuits and good tea. Yeah. But they don't have crackers, which is a bit of a shame.
Amazon.
Maybe. I was actually thinking maybe I should get Alexander as a craft project to make some crackers. And for people that don't know, you get a toilet roll. You then buy the actual banger that you put inside, and then you wrap it all in crepe paper. You obviously put a little gift. Dad will almost certainly write a joke, so you stuff that in there as well. And you have people do that instead.
And you pull the ends, and it blows up, and the gifts come out. So,
and you put on paper crowns.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. Lewis talks about that. What about you, Matt?
I mean, I will be developing new ones in the future, but
this is not an official announcement, listeners.
But yeah, I mean, I guess I kind of alluded to. I can tell. I mean, I love Christmas. Mary Margaret loves Christmas. I mean, we can already see we're only in the dating stage, but just what we are planning here, we just love to do a bunch of stuff. I could see making an event out of setting up Christmas decorations. We did that in my apartment. It was just one of the most beautiful things. It was so much fun and just so exciting, and had peppermint hot chocolate and put some Christmas music on, and we're just decorating
music.
Yeah, it's just going. One of the things that we used to do that I'm going to kind of recreate with her a little bit is my family would always go to Chicago post Thanksgiving. Some weekend we'd go to the Oak Room, and I think at the time it was called Marshall Fields. They had the windows. Yeah. Sometimes they do Harry Potter, 12 Days of Christmas. And I assume those are still going on. I haven't actually researched it, but next Friday, we're going to be downtown Chicago. Nice. And so her and I are making kind of a day out of it, hence why we can't record. And so that's what we're going to try to do. We're going to try to go to lunch in the Oak Room. We're going to go walk around, see the Christmas stuff. So I guess the short answer is probably setting up Christmas stuff, and then that Chicago Christmas stuff. I really just love downtown Chicago.
Nice. I had a strange Christmas one year when I was in Spain. I spent Christmas with my father one year in the Canary Islands. I think we went back to Granada for that. And you don't get birthday presents. And my birthday's 4 days after Christmas. So I always felt resentful about not getting, cupcakes during my classes. And I'm still in therapy about that. So there's hope for me. Please send cupcakes. So no presents on the 29th, and then no presents on Christmas because they exchange presents on the day on the Kings, the Day of the Kings, which is Epiphany. Mm-hmm. So that was weird. I got presents in November and January, and none in December. But with my new family, we do a marvelous thing. We have in years past, we've had a huge breakfast. Everybody gets everything they want. So crumpets and bagels and donuts and toast and English muffins and all the eggs and the sausage and the bacon. I make sausage rolls for everybody, and that's become an expected Christmas tradition. Mm-hmm. Then after breakfast, Christmas story, go around the circle. What are we most thankful for this year, from youngest to oldest? And then we've scaled down this year, but everybody really saves up for Christmas and wants to really honor each other. So loads of really good presents. But that was taking until 2:00 because we watch everybody individually open and then we ooh and ah. So we've cut that down a little this year. There's always a turkey in the oven the day before, and that's for leftovers the day after. And there's another turkey in the oven on December 25th. So we have Christmas dinner, and then we spend days playing games with each other, which is great. A couple of years ago, I started a new tradition because of Twelfth night, which is January 5th. It's the 12th day of Christmas. It's the day before Epiphany on January 6th. And a lot of times, we run on Ditchfield standard time. So sometimes things are late. So sometimes instead of a gift, you get an envelope.
I think they're in the same time zone as the rest of my family. Yeah. Yeah. Dixon time. Well, it seems to be about an hour behind when it's advertised. They must advertise in a different time zone or something. I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we sometimes instead of a present, you would get an envelope with a color printout of the thing that you were going to get. Because it didn't arrive in time.
That's what I do all the time. Literally, I order it the day before.
Well, the Ditchfield family singers for many years were very busy all throughout December, including on Christmas Eve. And so oftentimes it wasn't until after Christmas is over that they had plenty of time. So we have decided that on 12th night, thereabouts, and we've got a birthday on the 8th and our 2 anniversaries, including mine, on January 7th. But we've decided to do a 12th night party, and everybody draws a name for not a secret Santa, but a secret king for the Day of the Kings. And so we do a $10 gift. By the way, Kohl's is excellent on cheap, good, discounted gifts after Christmas. And then if you got a printout at Christmas, you bring the actual thing to the 12th night party so everybody can ooh and ah. And then instead of a white elephant exchange, we do a white camel exchange. And so everybody brings another wrapped up gift, and we do the whole Yankee swap. And there's always a discussion of the rules and how many times can it change hands. But usually at the end of it, we're kind enough with each other that somebody really wanted something, they end up getting it often. And often there's a meal. So that's been a new Christmas tradition. And not necessarily.
So if it's on 12th night, you could say that I'm a great eater of beef, and I believe that it does harm to my wit.
Oh, and that's Shakespeare, right?
Mm-hmm.
From 12th night. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See what I did there.
Roast. Yes, I saw that. Shakespeare, Matt was an author. He wrote things like sonnets and plays.
Did you see my beautiful poem draft 1?
I did see your beautiful poem draft 1. I hope Marie is not. I hope Mary Margaret is not waiting for a surprise about this.
What did David say? What was my first question after I saw it?
You asked indirectly if I sought outside resources. Of course, this is what one does when they don't know how to do something.
Wow. Or you just ask your friend who taught, poetry for years and writes poems himself, who could have helped you actually write a sonnet.
You're not quite as convenient as ChatGPT.
In fairness, this was a starting point. I'm going to go draft 2, draft 3. Eventually, I might even turn it into a sonnet. But
actually, you know what, Matt? I'll save you the effort. I'll go ahead and have a whack at turning what you did into a sonnet. There are enough rhymes, however tired.
I think. Should I read a little bit of it at some point?
After you've done that, you need to send it to me. I can add my touch to it as well, and so we can all give it to Mary Margaret.
Okay, throw it up on a Google Doc. And
wait, this is great.
We'll adjust it from
In
there.
A world of fleeting glances, she's a timeless dance, a blend of inner beauty, wit, and happenstance.
So wait, our listeners get it before before your intended gets it?
Well, okay. She's gonna get if this is just a little tease.
Okay.
If I got that poem, I would think you were teasing me as well.
Ruthless. We're gonna call this a ruthless podcast going forward.
I tell you what, it was years. I was well into adulthood, probably my 30s, maybe even my 40s, before I could literally before I could sleep through the night on Christmas Eve, even though I spent a lot of Christmases alone. But it was just, it was, there's just so much excitement. Of course, now I work on Christmas Eve, and so I'll finish up around midnight, and then we'll get in the car at 5:30 or 6 the next morning to drive to
after you fed the reindeer, obviously.
Yes, exactly. So there will hopefully be a Christmas nap. So, and I think that we've decided on our Christmas Scotch, have we not? No, I haven't heard, David. I haven't heard you weigh in.
No. I think we have decided our Christmas Scotch.
Okay.
I'm excited for this.
I was just in the middle of something while you guys were talking about it, but yes, I'm just pulling up a picture now so people can see what a wonderful choice. We're gonna put Bud Summers' gift to good use.
To Bud,
and I love that Andrew. It's actually funny. We're coming full circle, by the way. Remember we talked real time about his gift in the last common room.
Yeah.
But yeah, Andrew suggested Lefroy 18, and I love the idea of all of us doing the same thing. I was a little hesitant because Lefroy 12 is, I find personally a little harsh. So Andrew comes and sends like 4 different reviews. And genuinely, they did convince me. The reviews greatly distinguished 12 from 18 or 18 from 12 and convinced me it's really worthy Scotch.
I spent some time with Ross Wilson, who is the sculptor of the Searcher, the kind of C.S. Lewis wardrobe thing in Belfast. Maybe David will pull up an image. And Ross and I were in Romania together and became fast friends, and it was such a joy. But he was talking about peat in England and how peat is cut. And then he referred to Seamus Heaney, the famous Nobel Prize-winning poet. There it is. There's the Searcher. That, by the way, listeners, is the wardrobe, of course. But that's supposed to be a Diggory Kirk as a young man going into the wardrobe. So, and that's there in Belfast at C.S. Lewis Square. But I began researching peat. Seamus Heaney wrote a famous poem called Digging and talked about his father digging peat there in Ireland. And peat is like compressed bog or marsh land. So it's, it's a little muddy and it's a little grassy and whatever, but you can burn it like coal and it's got this particular smoke. And that's what I think seasons the barley that they make single malt with. So that's why it's peaty. Lefroy is a peaty Scotch, but the phenols that are in the smoke decay over the years. And so an 18-year-old Lefroy will have less smoke. And so I think it'll be less objectionable to, weenies. Like
Andrew, you're so smart. You knew the term phenols off the top of your head.
And weenies.
Matt and I were talking about it earlier today, and I had to look it up.
He thought it was
not
ketones.
That smart. So, yeah, not ketones. So we'll enjoy, and maybe we'll pull that out ceremonially and see if we can nurse the bottle all season next season.
I bet we totally could. I mean, if we that's 15 drinks more or less. And unless we're drinking this every single episode, it could be a fun little thing where whenever we all want to sync up, we drink that one.
Last year's Christmas gift, the Lagavulin 11, the Nick Offerman, has made its way into the decanter, and so I'm enjoying that. I had some of that last Tuesday when I was on Lesser Known Lewis, and they did a Christmas episode on Myth Became Fact. And so I was overjoyed to spend some time with those two guys, and that episode should be coming out soon. Dave has been busy too, yeah?
Yeah, Lawhaven, that's Lawhaven with an E. I was on their podcast talking about Christmas with Lewis and Tolkien, and I've got a 3-parter with the C.S. Lewis podcast with Ruth Jackson. The hilarious thing about that is we were both very sick when we were recording it. So we sort of came onto Riverside and we were both coughing and hacking. And I literally had a glass of water, a cup of tea, a very large whiskey, and you're just like, I just kept rotating around the drinks, just trying to keep the throat lubricated. So I would like to publicly apologize to whoever it is that had to edit that episode. But so far, it sounds wonderful.
Do we have a listener question for our common room? Do we ever do that?
No, but I think we should start live streaming them. I think that would be fun if we can try and find a reasonably consistent time when we do this, both day of the month or at least say day of the week, and a time. I think that'd be a fun thing to do. It gives us a little bit more practice of live streaming, so that when we do C.S. Lewis Reading Day next year, we'll have it down.
And when now that you know how to do it really well, is there a way? Is it something where I'm guessing the first answer, my first question is going to be no. There's not like a general link that someone can always have, and if they join it, it's a live stream. It's probably a unique one for every live stream.
No, but because we can live stream to Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. To do it with Twitter, we have to get some special registration I'm not paying for.
We could do it on Instagram as well.
No, they have special rules as well. You actually have to be using the app, and so we'd all have to log into that as well. Maybe there might
church.
There might be. I think there is some streaming software you can buy, which I will have a little look at. That I think gives you great control of doing all of those sorts of things.
Yeah, Caster.io.
Yeah. And there's one with a duck
we were using at church.
Yeah, because I was just thinking. I was just thinking if this is going to be a routine thing, if people just have it to lower the barriers of entry of finding it, social media and stuff. If people just kind of have a link that they're able to just generate, like, it's coming to me. I know I can click this always and pop in. I don't know if it's possible, but it's
where I was going, and I got distracted with my own answer. That engaging is what I can do is I can create a standard link on our website, so pintsjack.com/streaming or something like that, and I can have a few synonyms, and that'll be a place where I can just go and drop the links as soon as we do them.
Yeah, and then when we share that on social media, it'll all be the same link, and then it'll lead to the same place.
Yep.
And if I do want to suggest that when this episode drops, listeners, feel free to comment with some of your favorite Christmas traditions. So I would love to hear those. One of my favorite experiences, not quite Christmas, but when I went to England for the Memorial Stone on December 22nd, 2013, the next morning I went to Mass with Walter Hooper. And on my way home back to the Kilns where I was staying, thankfully, gratefully, I stopped at the Eagle and Child because Steve Elmore from the Lewis Foundation and I had been there the night before and had a wonderful stout. I can't remember what it was. But went to the Eagle and Child for a pint of stout. That was breakfast. And then on my way to the bus, I passed by, they had this whole street, all St. Giles was shut down for like a Christmas thing. So there was singing and, it was kind of misting, kind of snowing a little bit. And then I literally had for breakfast a Cornish pasty from the Cornish Pasty Company and chestnuts roasted on an open fire. And so that was a delightful breakfast, only in England.
Yeah. Well, in the few minutes that we've got left, why don't we each share a favorite song from this time of year? Andrew, you shared one as we were wrapping up the last episode by Andrew Peterson.
So Andrew Peterson, for 25 plus years, I think 25, it's over 20, has been doing a tour called Behold the Lamb of God. Andrew Peterson, of course, wrote the marvelous hit worship song, Is He Worthy, that Chris Tomlin and others have covered. And Peterson is a great Lewis fan. I met him first, I think, in England and out on the road, and just a wonderful guy, loves Lewis and Tolkien. And this tour goes to a dozen or two cities every year, and they also do a live stream broadcast from the Ryman Auditorium, the kind of the heart of country music in Nashville. But there's a song on there that Jill Phillips sings. And Jill is a recording artist in her own right, and her husband, Andy Gullahorn, is a wonderful acoustic singer-songwriter as well. But Jill takes the vocal on Andrew's song, Labor of Love. And just, it captures that night and what it must have been. Is that the live version? That may be the studio
no, this
version.
is the studio and lyrics.
Mm-hmm. Her live version was marvelous, and it's muted there.
Yeah, you won't be able to hear it.
Oh, okay. All right. So Labor of Love, look for the live version. Just, one of those songs that I played on repeat and just brought me to tears again and again. Always a perennial Christmas favorite. What about you, Matt?
I'm a big fan of the Pentatonics. And so I love their version of Hallelujah. And I love their version of Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday. Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, and Happy Holidays. I love that.
Yeah, I closed my eyes there for a moment and I thought, man, are the Pentatonics here?
I get that all the time.
Because I've been teasing Matt today, and I don't want people to think I'm being unkind, I held my tongue and didn't ask him, hey, Matt, who sings that again?
Oh, you would sound just like my aunt.
And why
she says that all the time. Leave it to them.
They've done some marvelous thing. Yeah. So, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I haven't listened to that, so I'll listen to that for sure. We live in Florida, so we never have a fire. We don't have a fireplace. But during the season, Kristen often will put on the 9-hour U-log with sound effects. And so we'll have that on the TV, and I'll sometimes go and try to warm my hands by that fire.
Well, this is mine. This is easily one of my favorite Christmas songs by Casting Crowns. I heard the bells on Christmas Day. Obviously, classic lyrics, classic poem. I just love the juxtaposition of hope and despair. Mm-hmm. The lyrics go, I heard the bells on Christmas Day, their old familiar carols play, and mild and sweet their songs repeat, of peace on earth, goodwill to men. And in despair I bowed my head. There is no peace on earth, I said, for hate is strong and mocks the song of peace on earth, goodwill to men. But the bells are ringing, peace on earth, like a choir they're singing, peace on earth. Does anybody hear them? Peace on earth, goodwill to men. Then rang the bells more loud and deep. God is not dead, nor does he sleep. The wrong shall fail, the right prevail, with peace on earth, goodwill to men. Then ringing, singing on its way, the world revolved from night to day. A voice, a chime, a chant sublime of peace on earth, goodwill to men.
Beautiful, David.
And by the American poet Henry Wadsworth Longfellow.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think that Joy wrote Jack a poem on Christmas.
Lewis has got at least 2 poems that I can think of: the Nativity and now I'm forgetting. But yeah, they wrote a lot
among the asses, like an ass. Among the asses. No. Among the oxen,
Andrew,
like an ox,
please watch your language. This is a family show.
Among the oxes, like an ox, I'm slow. I see a glory in the stable grow, which with an ox's patience might at least give me the patience of a beast. Among the asses, stubborn I as they, I see my Savior where I looked for hay. My gosh.
And among the sheep, I like a sheep have strayed. I watch the manger where my Lord is laid. Oh, that my baying nature would win hence some woolly innocence.
Oh, my baaing nature. Yeah. Kristen and I have actually done a thing on that. We have We did an Advent retreat, and we used that poem and her book, The Three Wise Women, which look at the three wise women of Christmas, which include Anna and Elizabeth and Mary. So, yeah. Well, listeners, please post your favorites too. We'd love to see those in the comments. And I'm going to see if I can find Joy Davidman's Christmas poem before we go.
Okay. Well, please join us again next time when we'll continue going further up.
Further in.
Cheers.
Cheers.
We need to
Happy
practice
Christmas.
that.